So we're continuing our discussion now on how to create dynamic choices for a checkbox control in a grid. And now let's go and take a look at the definition of the generate checkbox Xbasic function. So now I'm going to go here to Xbasic functions, and if I just make this a little bit wider here, you can see here we have our generate checkboxes function. And it takes basically three arguments. It takes selected, which is the value in the checkbox that is currently selected, filter on, which is the value that the list of choices should be filtered on, and then row number, which is the row number of the current row. So the first command in this Xbasic function is getting the list of choices. So you can see here we're calling the Xbasic function table.externalRecordContentGet, which gets a list of records from the lookups table. It gets the value of the display text field. It sorts it by display text, and then it filters on lookup name, lookup underbar name equals, and then we pass in the value that was filtered on. So if we go look very quickly at this lookups table, let's go back to the control panel and then look up the lookups table. You can see that we have a field called display name, which is what we want to show in the checkbox control, and then lookup name is the filter. So if, for example, if lookup name is set to meat, then we want to return chicken, steak and pork in the checkbox control. If the lookup name was set to starch, we want to show potato, bread and rice, for example, in the checkbox control. So the table.externalRecordContentGet is a quick way of getting data out of a DBF table, but I could just as easily over here have used SQL to do a select against some other table to retrieve all the records that match my filter conditions. So the only line that would change if this example was based on SQL would be this line over here. All the other code would be the same. So then we're calling an Alpha 5 helper function that's part of Xbasic called A5W checkboxes, and this is a helper function that generates HTML for a checkbox control. So if we just quickly go to the interactive window so we can experiment with this function, let's go over here and type in, say, choices equals, say, comma to CRLF, red, green and blue, and then go here and say question mark. So what we want to do is pass in choices and then the name of the control. So I'll just call this dummy, and I'm going to put a square bracket over there to indicate that this is an array control. So there's going to be several fields which a checkbox would have, all of which have the same name, indicating that Alpha 5 should treat each control as a single control group. We'll say selected is equal to red, and then I'm going to just leave all of the other choices blank, but then quickly go look at this. So you can see what Alpha 5 has generated here. So this is the HTML for a checkbox control. This is standard HTML notation here. You can see here the important thing is that the name of the control has these square brackets. So when I use the Alpha 5 get value single $GVS JavaScript function to get the value of the checkbox, and I pass in, say, dummy as the name of the control, it'll read the value from all three of these individual controls and treat them as though it were a single group. So this helper function is how we can quickly generate the HTML for a checkbox control. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video.